Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We are about ready to get started. If you're ready to settle in. Welcome to Valley Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I'm Marcy Bodrin. I am your Director of Faith Formation Ministries. I want to welcome you here today on our special annual pageant Sunday. We do have a few of our normal routines for you. We do have someone for pastoral care if you have the need to someone to talk to, someone to listen to you. I believe it is Frances Campos Outcalt, who was in this area. There she is. So if you need anybody at the end of service, she'll be up front waiting for you. If you have any questions about Unitarian Universalism or about Valley UU in particular, in the back on my right, your left, we will have a welcome circle where some members will be able to help you work through some questions. We don't guarantee any answers, but you're welcome to ask. And if you need a quiet place, we do have a child comfort room, and I believe there's even a pink sign up on the door today to help you find it. There is a speaker in there, so you won't miss any of the service. I'd invite you to settle in and enjoy our pageant that is specifically written as a Unitarian Universalist version of the Nativity story. And I hope you enjoy it. Ariana.
Okay. Do I start? Okay. Christmas is a time to come together and share in the wonder of the season. It is a time when we try to give voice, shape, and form to our deepest beliefs and values. And when we come to this place of worship, each of us bring our own feelings about Christmas. Some positive, some negative. Some of us come with joy and enthusiasm, bursting with energy and the Christmas spirit. Some of us come with sadness and a heavy heart, perhaps feeling loss of friends or family. Still, others come with a measure of cynicism, wondering in their hearts of hearts if we will ever have peace on earth and goodwill between all people. However we come, we are here to be together, to worship together, and in so doing, to draw strength from one another. Let us be fully present in this belief time, for Christmas belongs to all of us. We claim it in our preparations and our decorations, in our gift giving and our tree trimming. Even the nativity stories is ours, for this part of history and culture. Through the rich imagery of this beautiful story, we can discover spiritual truths that are relevant even today. We simply need, like the shepherds, to have ears to hear and hearts to receive. Let us begin our celebration by singing one of the most joyful of Christmas carols, Deck the Halls.
Take a moment to look around you at the people at this room. Offer a little smile. Let your eyes meet. As you look around, you will be reminded that, as in any family, we are all in various stages of life. We are all valued here, for we understand that each stage of life contributes its own special qualities, from the enthusiasm and innocence of our very youngest to the experience and wisdom of those a little older. We light our chalice today in appreciation of the light that shines within each one of us, whatever our age, whatever our gifts, whatever our needs. Please join me in the chalice lighting words, which are on the screen. In this flame, symbol of our faith, for the light of truth, in the warmth of community, and the fire of love, which calls us to work for justice.
Follow the Star is one of the songs in our service today. The second verse speaks to what we all bring to this life in general and to this congregation in particular. The words are as follows. And we come, too, with gifts of our own, as rich and as precious as gold, gifts of the Spirit and gifts of the heart, offering wealth untold. We bring nothing more valuable than these, our inner gifts, and our congregation is the richer for them. But alas, if bills are to be paid and our doors to remain open, we must also give our monetary gifts. Will the ushers come forward now to take the offering in support of this, our spiritual home?
The Christmas season is upon us, a time for bright lights, festive songs, and outward celebration. But for many of us, Christmas is also a time for inward yearning. Outwardly, we spread considerable time and money preparing for all the festivities, buying gifts, writing cards, preparing food, and decorating a tree. These are all part of our Christmas preparations. And sometimes we feel at least a little conflicted by all of this. We want to make the holiday season as festive as possible, yet we often overwhelmed by the preparations. Maybe even depressed by family obligations and expectations. In the midst of our frantic scurries, perhaps we wonder if Christmas is worth all the stress and strain it brings us. Still, most of us continue to participate to one degree or another. Why? Well, maybe just because it's a tradition, and we feel obligated to be a part of it. But that's not the whole answer, if we're being honest. We might acknowledge that our hearts, we are ever hopeful that all these outward preparations will somehow lead our inner yearnings. For a Christmas time, most of us yearn for something deep and meaningful to happen. Sometimes that gives us inner joy and say yes to life, something that offers us hope. In the Christmas nativity story, we find rich and wonder metaphors that speak to this yearning. Perhaps this is why we keep telling it year after year. For the story invites us to reflect on what we value in life. And at the center of the story lies a baby. Who is this baby? For Christians, this baby is the Christ child. He is both man and God incarnated, healer and miracle worker, Messiah and Savior of the world. For others, this baby is Jesus of Nazareth, the baby who became a great teacher, prophet, and social activist. He is a historical Jesus, one who changed the world with his ideas and his compassion. But who or what else might this baby represent? Many Unitarian Universalists confirm the idea that this baby symbolizes all babies. This Christmas story reminds us that each new life is a gift, and that we are all responsible for nurturing it and protecting that gift. This is a wonderful image full of love, compassion, and deep reverence for life. But looking forward, perhaps this baby symbolizes even more. In our retelling of the story today, we will invite some additional thoughts about this special baby, as well as about the other characters in the story. And so we begin with a question. Would you like to hold the baby? An everyday expression is an invitation to nurture, to care for, to delight in, to take responsibility for another human being. And what is our responsibility to such a question? Are we filled with delight? Do we experience a feeling of awe or protectiveness? Do we reach out with joy, ready for the responsibility? Or is it scary? Do we worry about dropping the baby or not doing it right? Do we worry about the baby will cry or do something we feel unprepared to clean up? Different emotions may surface, along with different reactions. But whatever your response, the question is really an invitation to reflect on what is most meaningful and important in life. It's an invitation to look at your values and how you live them. It's an invitation to acknowledge your spiritual side and nurture it. It's an invitation to embrace what you consider most scary and sacred and holy. This baby is a powerful image. It represents our yearning for what is the most precious in life, inviting us to give it our greatest care and attention, as we would a real baby. During our pageant today, I encourage you to let the simplicity of the story speak to your own inner yearning. Christmas is a time to do that. Who among us does not long for love and peace and goodwill towards all people? Who does not yearn for a star to light our way? And who does not value the innocence and unconditional love of a newborn baby? Whatever your interpretation of who or what this baby represents, the nativity story offers a metaphor. That is yours to embrace. It invites you to reflect on your own ideas and feelings about life's deepest meaning. And above all else, it invites you to embrace hope. For hope lies at the very heart of this Christmas story. And so I ask in the spirit and wonder of this Christmas season, would you like to hold the baby?
I invite you to remain seated as we sing 2 verses of O Little Town of Bethlehem.
Long, long ago, in a faraway land, a man named Joseph was traveling to Bethlehem with his wife, Mary. In those days, all the people in the land were ordered back to their place of birth so they could pay their taxes. And so it was that Joseph was walking to Bethlehem, his family's birthplace, while Mary rode beside him on their little donkey. Mary was pregnant and must have been very uncomfortable riding so long on the donkey's back. She knew she could have given birth at any time, maybe even before they arrived in Bethlehem. But she hadn't wanted to stay behind alone, so she wanted to be with her husband when their first baby was born. So they made their long journey together. After several days, they reached their destination, and Joseph immediately began looking for a place to stay. Seeing an inn nearby, he stopped and left Mary outside while he went to see about the lodgings for the night. "Do you have a place my wife and I could stay?" asked Joseph. "We've been traveling several days, and my wife is expecting a baby. She's very tired." Peering over Joseph's shoulder, the innkeeper could see that Mary was probably very close to giving birth. She suggested they stay in a private stable, away from all the noise and confusion of the other travelers who were already crowding the inn. Joseph happily accepted the kind offer and went to get Mary. Meanwhile, the innkeeper went ahead of Mary and Joseph to try and make the little stable as presentable as possible. All the animals had to move out into the yard so there would be enough room for the guests. She swept the floor and tidied the manger area, leaving some fresh hay for the baby's bed. When all was ready, Mary and Joseph entered the clean little stable and made themselves as comfortable as they could. Mary was especially pleased to have this private space, for she sensed that her baby would be born that very night. As the evening wore on, it was clear this would indeed be the night of the baby's birth, and sure enough, within a few hours, Mary, with the help of the innkeeper, gave birth to a lovely baby boy. Meanwhile, the animals stood very quietly outside of the stable, as if sensing that some kind of miracle was taking place. And indeed, it was, for the birth of any new baby is the greatest of miracles. But this one seemed particularly special, and the animals were curious as well as a little restless. They wanted to see what was going on inside. They also wanted to go back into their own stalls where they could be used to sleeping. Finally, one of the animals, the donkey, stepped up to the door and nudged it with his nose, trying to get it open. But the innkeeper shouted at him, "Out, out, you dirty thing. You can't come in here. You're covered in mud and much too smelly to be around any new baby." "That goes for the rest of you, too," she said to all the other animals huddled outside. "There isn't room for you in here." But Mary wasn't the least bit bothered by the animals. "It's all right," she said softly. "Let them in. After all, we are in their house. Let them come in and see my new, beautiful baby." And so the doors were opened, and one by one the animals came into the stable.
So the baby could lie in my manger of hay. I don't mind that so much, but now I've nowhere to stay. So I want to come back to the stable. Oh, come in. Bring your friends, bring your neighbors, bring your whole family.
animals were no sooner settled in the stable when there appeared to be at the door a scruffy-looking group of very excited shepherds. Here it is, one of them shouted as they peered through the half-open doorway. Seeing Mary, one shouted, "Oh, good lady, please let us come in. We have heard of a very special birth this night, and have come to see the miracle for ourselves." "But how did you know?" asked Mary. "Who told you to come here?" Before the shepherds could answer, the innkeeper stepped in front of the door, barring their way. "Do not let them in," she said to Joseph. "They are lowly shepherds who wander the countryside having no real home. They are very poor and care for no one but themselves. Why, they might even rob you. They are not fit to come in." But Joseph said to the innkeeper, "Good lady, I am a lowly carpenter and also very poor like them. They are no better or worse than I, and they certainly don't look dangerous to me. Please step aside and make them welcome." You could see the innkeeper was afraid, but she did as she was told and let the shepherds enter. One of the shepherds, who seemed eager to talk, said to Mary, "I can tell you how we came here. We were in the fields tending to our sheep when suddenly we saw a great light in the sky. An angel appeared out of nowhere. When terribly frightened, the angel calmed us and said, 'Do not be afraid, for I bring good news for all people. Today in the city of Bethlehem a child is born who will bring great joy and peace to the world. And this shall be your sign. You will find the baby wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger.' So we decided to come to Bethlehem right away to see this great event for ourselves." Everyone was astonished at what the shepherds told them, oohing and awing at this strange story. But Mary sat quietly, pondering all the things in her heart.
In the stillness of the morning, as the if we heard the angels sing their song above a starry sky, would we know they came with a message clear, or would we wonder why? Would we have the words? Would we have hearts to receive? If we walked the hills the shepherds walked, would we have eyes to see? Would we have eyes to see? If we walked the hills the shepherds walked, would we have eyes to see? We have eyes to see. If the angel said that their road was long, would we have heard the call? And if we had thought we could lose our way, would we have come at all? The shepherds put their fear aside in search of your love yet to be. If we found the places the shepherds found, would we have eyes to see? Would we have eyes to see? If we found the place the shepherds found, would we have eyes to see? Would we have eyes to see? If we found a manger and sing a lullaby. And if he held us with his eyes, would we have faith to believe? If we saw the things the shepherds saw, would we have eyes to see? Would we have eyes to see? Hallelujah, hallelujah. If we saw the things the shepherds saw, would we have eyes to see? Would we have eyes to see?
Not long after the shepherds entered the stable, another group appeared at the door. There were 3 of them, and it was obvious they were not from Bethlehem. They were riding on camels, and they wore long, elegant robes and strange hats, almost like crowns on their heads. They must have come from some country in the east, for no one in the area dressed this way. The shepherds eyed them suspiciously. "May we come in?" asked one of the 3, who seemed to be some kind of sage or priest. The shepherds seemed very uneasy, and before Joseph could answer, one of them said, "Kind sir, you must not let these people in, for they are not Jews like us. They are foreigners. Who are they, and from where did they come? You can see by their clothing. They look very strange, and sure you know they are not to be trusted." But Joseph said, "It is true they look different from us, and perhaps they have different ways, but I see no harm in that. Please welcome them into our little stable." And so the 3 travelers, who were called Magi, or wise ones, stepped into the stable. "We have come a great distance from the east," said the first Magi. "We are astrologers studying the stars and their movements. And recently, we noted that one star of special brilliance, it seemed to be shining, almost hovering over one particular place. So we followed the star, thinking we would find something very important. And so we have. We see a very special baby is born this night, and we have brought gifts to honor him." Each of the Magi stepped forward and laid down the gift, kneeling at the foot of the manger as they did so. One brought gold, one brought a type of incense called frankincense, and the last one brought myrrh, often used as an incense or as a medicine.
For this one, for Follow the Star, we invite you to join in with us on the chorus. The words should show up on the screen.
Traveled from country afar.
now, said one of the wise ones, for we can see you are tired. We have found what we were seeking, and we thank you for accepting our gifts. We feel honored to have been here this night, for we know your son will grow to become a great leader and a wise leader. And with that, they turned and disappeared into the night. Sensing it was time for them to leave as well, the shepherds and the innkeeper tiptoed out of the stable as to not to wake the sleeping babe. Even the animals drifted away, for they were tired and in need of a good sleep themselves. Mary and Joseph looked lovingly at their new baby. "What shall we name him?" Mary asked. "I was thinking we might call him Jesus, but what do you think?" Joseph nodded and smiled, agreeing it would be a fine name. "But now we should get some sleep," Joseph said. "You stay here. I'll go over to one of the other stalls where there is more room for me to make a bed." As he left, he gently touched Mary's shoulder, smiling at her and his newborn child. Mary was tired, but unable to sleep. What is so special about this night, about this child, she wondered. We are poor people from humble families. What is it that makes my baby so special? And if he is so special, what is expected of me as his mother? Mary picked up her baby and gazed into his beautiful eyes, as if looking for answers there. As she pondered these questions, she heard a small creaking noise, the sound of the stable door quietly opening. Mary turned to see that a small child had come in, eager for a glimpse of the new baby.
I As the girl embraced the baby, Mary whispered low, "This child is more than we can ever know. For his eyes reflect our goodness, his heart reveals our love, his gentle breath can touch our very soul. So wrap this precious baby in a blanket of your own and love him so his spirit will be free. Hold him close in sorrow and hold him close in joy. Hold him close however life may be. Would you like to hold the baby? Would you like to see him smile? Would you leave your arms a cradle and rock him for a while? This gift that I've been given is yours as much as mine. Would you like to hold the baby? Take your time. Take your time.
After sitting quietly together for several moments, Mary reached out to take the baby back. The little girl smiled, her face radiant with all the joy and love she was feeling inside. She knew she would never forget this night. Nor would Mary, and although she could not know where his life would eventually take him, she did know Jesus was very special and one day would be an important leader. But for now, Mary's path was clear. She would care for him and love him and cheer him. For he knew was not hers alone to hold. Jesus did indeed grow up to become very important to the world. He was a great teacher, an important spiritual leader. He was also a true friend to the poor and powerless, believing that all people deserve to be treated with kindness and respect. And so, each year we celebrate the birth of Jesus at Christmas time, eager for the joy and hope that belongs to this season. For long ago, in that faraway land, his message of love and peace and goodwill to all people spoke to those who had ears to hear and hearts to receive, just as it continues to speak to us today.
The youth are going to sing the first verse, and then we'll join in on the second verse.
Child
Sorry, I wasn't quite sure how many verses were up there. Please rise and join us as we sing our final closing hymn, caroling.
This question, would you like to hold the baby, is an invitation to open your heart to all that the Christmas season has to offer.